Today's guest doesn't just run HR. She builds the place where people want to stay.
I had zero experience, but I had a lot of passion. I really wanted to move into that HR space and people space.
From front desk shifts to boardroom tables, she learned every corner of the business.
I was 19, packing a suitcase and trying to pursue my dreams. I was also a young mom at 21. I had a full-time job.
Now, she designs the culture, hires the leaders, protects the heartbeat of the company.
Culture is not a cliche, it's not a poster, it's not a card. It's how you make someone feel.
Her job isn't keeping the doors open, it's making sure people never want to walk out. This is Ani Nazaryan.
Today our location is a very iconic place in Las Vegas. We're at Siegel's Bagel Mania, which is a little bagel restaurant nook that's in between Fontainebleau, the Convention Center, and Resorts World. And today we're interviewing somebody that calls herself a CPO. I've heard about CFOs, CEOs, CMOs, but I had never heard the term CPO. I'm always handling business, right? This lady has an amazing story. We love going out to seeing the builders in Las Vegas, and she's definitely one of the persons that's building this city because she handles all of the people for the Siegel Group, and the Siegel Group has a lot of companies which she's going to illustrate us and tell us about. And we have here the CPO and an amazing star of Las Vegas, Ani Nazaryan. Welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
I'd love you to take us back to when you were 19, coming over from Armenia. What were those days like?
Sure. Growing up in Yerevan, Armenia was absolutely beautiful. I think simple, lots of good food, great memories, good books, great music, very deep cultural roots. And certainly coming to Las Vegas was a culture shock. I was 19, packing a suitcase and trying to pursue my dreams and never looked back. So definitely an incredible chapter, but that did not come without challenges.
Of course, like anything, right? We're all immigrants. I'm an immigrant too. I came to the city. The city has given me everything. I'm very grateful. That's why I was telling you earlier that we do this podcast. So when you arrived with a suitcase and a dream, what did those early years look like for you?
I think in hindsight, looking back, it really taught me a lot about resilience, about, never giving up. It was definitely a culture shock, coming to a new environment, going out of your comfort zone, just overcoming a lot of challenges. I was also a young mom at 21. I had a full-time job. I was in school and raising a son. So it was definitely, again, incredible years of hustle and parenting and learning how to adapt and getting out of your comfort zone.
So how did you get started in this whole hospitality?
Okay, so I got to Las Vegas in 2010, right when Cosmopolitan was about to open up, and what an incredible opportunity for someone who just graduated and is looking for an opportunity. I think working at front desk, I always recommend up-and-coming leaders to start, or students to start their first career at front desk, because you learn to listen, you learn how to, you learn to read people and situations and overcome chaos. And that's kind of what kickstarted my hospitality career, getting a job at front desk and just really learning everything about hospitality, about the property, about the city, about the people. But I was 19, and I think there was certainly lots of challenges that you overcome because, I was so new. I didn't know pop culture. I didn't know celebrities. I didn't know so many things. But I think naturally I'm a very curious person. So I think that's what helped me to really be successful.
It's amazing. Tell me a good story back of those days. A crazy good story.
Oh my goodness.
I bet you ran into millions.
Sure, there's a lot, but I think I got made fun of. I remember pre-opening, this is December 15, we had 500 invited guests because our property's grand opening was December 31st, 2010. And all of my coworkers, I would check people in and I'd ask for ID and I'd completely act normal. And they're like, do you know who you just checked in? I was like, nope, no idea. So I was never starstruck or just, in awe. But it seems like later on, I'm like, oh my goodness, I checked in such and so. I had a ton of celebrities stay in my housekeeping days in my rooms. I ran into 50 Cent and some iconic Paris Hilton that I would never think I would, interact with or run into. But and then, of course, you see a ton of crazy stories and, lots of just hilarious moments. I think I told myself I'm probably one day going to write a book about all of the experiences I've had in hospitality because they're definitely stories worth telling.
Hell, why not? You should just start a podcast there,
Right.
right? Vegas hospitality or something like that.
Absolutely. Maybe. Food for thought.
Awesome. So tell us about your progression, how you started advancing the corporate ladder.
Sure. I think, I really believe that having teachable spirit is so important in this industry. I don't think it takes you to have a degree or to be the smartest person in the room. I think it takes grit, it takes resilience, it takes work ethic. And I think there's incredible mentors and people in this city that if they see potential in you, they promote you, right? So I think that's kind of my story, right? I started in front of house. I was naturally a curious person. I always raised my hand. I always want to do more. And I end up, wanting to learn the back of house operation, wanted to really understand how the puzzle comes together. And that's what, curiosity, I think, gives you opportunities and opportunities give you growth. And I think that's my story. And again, a ton of incredible mentor who opened up doors for me. And I'm super grateful for them because they were incredible people who, again, changed my trajectory of my career.
Tell me, who was your most impactful mentor?
Well, I've had so many of them, but I think I talk about him a lot in my podcast. But Daniel Espino, he was my first CPO, Chief People Officer of the Cosmopolitan. And he was the one who saw potential in me. And I was an operator working in operations and gave me a chance to move into people department, which is kind of the heart of HR, so to speak. And it was totally being promoted for potential, right? Which I think is incredible. Of course, I was educated at a college degree, but there were a ton of people who were interviewing to be at a time learning and development manager, and I had zero experience, but I had a lot of passion, and I was very excited, and I really wanted to, kind of move into that HR space and people space, and he gave me a ton of opportunity, and he's a good friend of mine now, so I'm really grateful, and he'll always be kind of a big part of my story.
Thank you. So one of the things that I noticed about the city is that if you're willing to put in the hustle, you're going to be welcome and you're going to be, nurtured and provided for, right? And helped.
Absolutely.
I've seen that a lot in my case, in the case of, it doesn't matter where you're from or what, if you're willing to put in the work.
Absolutely.
Las
Pays
Vegas
off.
Las Vegas is a great place to do it. Very cool. So at the Cosmo, you help to build programs that are national recognition, right? What does it take to build award-winning culture from the inside out?
I think it takes a lot of listening and a lot of then execution.
Okay.
But I think employees can read through, kind of a slogan or a campaign versus what's genuine and what's authentic. And I think doing everything, if you have a purpose and if you have a mission and you're doing it authentically and it's collaborative, I think that was the power of the Cosmopolitan. I think it was a very collaborative, open place, and great ideas came from anywhere. And I think that was the core of what made us really successful. And again, kind of behind everything was, is this meaningful? Is this purposeful? And I think we made culture part of people's or employees' kind of day-to-day experience, right? So culture was embedded into hiring, orientation, communication, recognition programs, and it was really about how do you make them feel when they come to work. I believe that culture is not a cliche, it's not a poster, it's not a card. It's how you make someone feel. I think that was very important for us, and I think we really did an incredible job creating a place where people wanted to be a part of.
Culture is how you make someone feel. Wow. That's a zinger. I love it. Really like the way you're saying it. I'd like to go more in depth on that because you mentioned a couple of things. First one is the CPO part, right? I've never heard of chief people officer. It's the first time, right? It's usually HR.
Mm-hmm.
So what makes
Sure.
the difference between
Absolutely.
CPO and HR? Like, is it the same thing? Is it not?
Mm-hmm.
Is it going a step beyond?
Sure. I think a lot of modern workplaces are evolving. HR is a very functional department, right? HR is the complaint department, the paperwork department, the benefits department. But I think, in the recent decade, I think a lot of companies are looking at evolving their HR departments and making them people departments. And what does that mean is really looking at an HR function as a holistic function, right? It's just really having employees' well-being at mind, looking at an employee as a human being. What are their needs beyond completing paperwork, coming to work, punching in, punching out, right? So I think, again, where I've worked and where I work now, that's a big focus is how do we become a department that adds value to operations, for example, or how do we become a department that employees go to because we want to provide them support and we want to, create a space where they feel recognized or they feel valued? How do we create, again, recognition programs, education programs beyond the, again, traditional notion of HR of, I got in trouble or I'm being written up or I got hired, right? Just really, I think, again, evolving that idea of, looking at an employee as a human being who has needs, who has emotions, and they don't check those emotions out, before they come to work, right? They come to work with baggage. So just, again, looking at a kind of human experience of employees are people and they spend a ton of time at work. So those HR departments are, again, there to protect the employee experience and make sure that they're creating a place for people who, want to come to work and be happy, so to speak.
Just from the way you come across, it seems that you really, really care, right? You're not just there doing your job. You really care. How does that tie in to creating culture and being on authenticity, right? Because it's something, I know of companies and their HR and everything, it's just like going through the motions. It seems like there's more to what you do. There's culture, there's authenticity in how you care about people. Tell me more about it.
Sure. I think it's interesting if CEOs and companies only heard to what employees are saying. I think employees are the front line and the heart and the soul of any business.
Okay.
And I think if you listen and if you care, I think there's great outcomes. I think going back to what Cosmopolitan did really well is we had these sessions, we call them Hear More sessions, where ideas come from anywhere. And we would have our senior leaders in a room full of bartenders and housekeepers and people from all walks of life saying, what's your idea? What's your idea? And we've done some cool things like shoe shine. We didn't have a shoe shine for years. And an employee said, why the hell don't we have a shoe shine? It's something that guests ask all the time. Or why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? So we would invest in great ideas and give that employee recognition for having a voice, for having an idea and bringing it to life. So I think I think ability to listen, ability to be accessible, because I think a lot of companies, there's a lot of hierarchies and there's a lot of barriers to speak to the number one or to speak to the number two, and you just go through so much red tape. So I think companies that do it well is leadership is present, they're able to listen, they care, and they take those great ideas and they bring them to life.
That's amazing. So let's go back to, you did all these great things at the Cosmo, right? And legend, curriculum, amazing curriculum. We really research you, right? I know you went to the Fontainebleau, helped open that up with 7,000 employees, right?
Yes.
Tell me the progression.
Sure.
Tell me a story about that.
Sure. And again, I talked about one of my amazing mentors, Daniel. It was an awesome chapter that he invited me or wanted me to be a part of that experience. And when I opened Cosmopolitan, I was a line level employee. So I worked my way up 13 years later, leaving as an executive. However, I think it's iconic or amazing or humbling to be able to open a property at an executive level and be part of that legacy and ability to work with amazing minds to put a culture together, mission statements, service strategy, and all these wonderful things we've done for Fontainebleau at a level where you have more impact. So I think that was the journey. That was awesome. And even though my time with them was fairly short, I was only there for, a year or so. It was wonderful because we got to create the foundation of what the brand was meant to be. And we've done it with a pretty cool, amazing group. So yeah, definitely a journey I would always reflect on.
Not a lot of people open up to major hotels that millions of people want to visit.
Absolutely.
Wow. So then comes Siegel Group, right?
Yes.
First of all, let's define Siegel Group, because I did not know. Like,
Sure.
I know it's Pink Box, Siegel Bagels, and the hotels. And there's a few more restaurants.
Sure.
Let's define what Siegel Group is, because
Sure.
that is your current place, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what.
Yes. So we are a real estate development and investment and hospitality group. So we own a ton of real estate in this town and beyond, and we own restaurants, and our amazing brands own Siegel's Bagel Mania, Pink Box, Piero's, which is one of our recent most amazing restaurants that we've acquired. So we're in a ton of things, but we are a Vegas kind of born and found brand. Steve Siegel is an amazing individual who cares a ton for this city and has created a ton of amazing brands that guests love. And I think it's awesome to be a part of that, because he's an entrepreneur and he's a visionary and he's an owner that is, talking about red tape, right? When you work for a huge billion-dollar or multi-billion-dollar properties and corporations, there's a ton of red tape. This is different because even though we're trying to scale and do bigger and better things, we're a very cool core group of people who can do a ton of things, fast and furious. So that's kind of a completely cool and different journey that I've been on now for almost a year and a half.
Legendary. And you came in as a CPO here too.
Correct.
Chief People Officer. I'm still
Yes.
bedazzled by that, right? So, the Siegel Group and Amazing Brands, you're building stuff for employees, for about 1,000 employees, right?
Correct.
Or more?
We are for now.
You're telling
yes.
me? How do you scale with heart and humanity?
Sure. I think, again, right, going back into just culture being at the blueprint of the organization before you scale. When it's an afterthought, it just doesn't really work, right? So I think as you scale, again, embedding culture in your decision making, in your hiring, in your onboarding, in how do you select general managers, how do you select employees, what makes a good culture fit for us versus what doesn't. So building the blueprint with culture in mind. And I think successful organizations, I call it a three-legged stool. It's the owners, it's the customers, and it's the employees, right? So when you care about the profit and, which is important for the business, but if you only care about the profit or you only care about, the customer experience and you kind of neglect the employee experience, it becomes very imbalanced. So again, incorporating that employee, the purpose, the why, we have a lot of cultural nuances in our company. We have different generations. We have a ton of language barriers. We're in different states, right? So just really taking all of those elements and then making sure that whatever you create is scalable, but it's soulful and it's it comes from heart and it has employees' best interest at heart. And it's hard, and we don't get it right all the time. We are just embarking on this journey. I was their first chief people officer, and it's every day trying to, again, learn and get it right and get better.
So you come in and a little bit beyond HR. That's really cool. One of so you mentioned that there's a lot of states that you guys are in. Give us a scope of what that is.
Sure. We are in over 20 states, 65 different properties all over the country. That's kind of the extended stay part of our business. And for our food and beverage, currently we're in Nevada and in Utah with Pink Box, but we definitely want to scale. We want to become, I don't know, we're 12 locations now, maybe 1,200. Who knows where the journey is going to lead us.
That's a big, hairy, audacious goal, right? How are you planning to keep culture intact?
Sure.
You're part of things like that's 1,000x. That's more than a. That's huge.
That is huge. And I think earlier I mentioned about culture is the people. And I think people, if you do hiring right, if you hire people who are passionate about people, I think that's what creates culture. I don't think, again, culture is a slogan, it's a campaign, it's a a poster, but it's really about hiring people who care about people and helping them understand the mission, the vision, and how we lead. And I think as you scale, having those fundamental people who are there to be the gatekeepers of the culture, I think it's really, really important. And again, making the culture as the blueprint and that's why we want to run all of our businesses. We're not into the franchise model, so to speak. We want to be able to control the product, control the building, and control the people and the culture that we're about to build and scale.
Cool. What are the core values that you're basing your culture on?
It's funny. When I first started, Steve gave me this poster, and he says, "Pink Box is the second happiest place on earth," and we have kind of 8 flavors. One of the flavors is fun. We're in the business of creating, not just selling donuts, but creating, sprinkling happiness and joy. Right? People buy donuts for happy occasions, so. One of the pillars is smile and good vibes and energy. So when people come into our shop or our restaurant, they leave with really, contagious good smiles. And then, of course, there's product and there's just, ingredients and things of that sort. But from a culture standpoint, as we always talk about, how do we create, because we're fast growing. And with that comes, again, a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. But how do we not forget to have fun while we're at work is really, really important. And again, not that we have stress-free days all the time, but thinking of ways to incorporate and make things fun, especially for employees when they work for this cool pink building, for example.
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing with 1,000 humans. There's always something going around, right?
Exactly.
I really like the Pink Box. I have a special request.
Yes, go for it.
So the Dubai chocolate.
Yes.
Jeez, it's always gone. What's the best time to go and get one?
Yeah, so I think we broke records. We sold, 50,000 Dubai chocolate donuts a month. That month was a record-breaking month. But let me know when you're going to be in the shop, and I'll have a dozen ready for you.
All right. Definitely. Like right after.
Yes, love it.
So right now, just thinking about donuts too. Oh my goodness. So I hear you're UNLV's Mentor of the Year.
Yes, so that was an incredible honor. And it's so interesting because it happened right when I was transitioning, leaving Cosmopolitan to go open Fontainebleau. Mm-hmm. And I was awarded, and I was Mentor of the Year, and they couldn't find me. Mm-hmm. So then 2 months goes by, I'm at Fontainebleau, and I get an email from the assistant dean, and she goes, "Oh my goodness, I've been trying to find you, and it was an incredible nomination or an award, and I was able to kick off that year's program, and I was able to, we had a Mentee of the Year and Mentor of the Year, so it was a really cool experience, and I think, titles matter and diplomas matter, but I think what's most meaningful is being able to impact someone's journey. So it seems like I had a really great impact on my mentee, so much so that she wanted to nominate me, and that meant a lot for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. From mentee to mentor. Do you believe mentoring is important these days?
I think absolutely. And I think if you hear the stories of a lot of folks in hospitality, I think it was, again, beyond a degree. A lot of us did not go to hospitality school, did not, acquire degrees in tourism or hotel management. And it was because we met someone who believed in us or saw potential in us and wanted to mentor us. And I think that's really important for me. And that's kind of my way of paying it forward because, again, I had incredible mentors throughout my career who had a huge part in my story.
Amazing. Let's go into a little bit of DI initiatives, right? That word has changed so much these days, the meaning, but I think it's important, right? In so many ways. What's your perspective today on real meaningful diversity in hospitality from the ground level, right? Not just from politically, all the craziness going on.
I think it's about beyond the panels, beyond the campaigns, beyond the committees, right? It's about giving people a voice and having them have a seat at the table. I think that's true diversity, right? And I think I've seen so many failed campaigns and ads where you could see their probably marketing group or whomever was behind these commercial had bunch of same-minded people of the same age, race in the room making decisions that completely tarnish the brand's reputation. So I think whether it's a campaign, whether it's whatever it is, I think true diversity is bringing people from all corners of the world, different ages, different demographics, genders, races, and giving them a voice and a seat at the table and saying, what should we do? What works? What doesn't work? And we've done a ton of those kind of organic initiatives where I think that's the true way of it working, and then building those things as part of your foundation, right? So, we've done a ton of initiatives of like, how do we build a program where we hire veterans? How do we build programs where we hire from LGBTQ plus community, right? How do we build programs where single moms and dads can come together and talk about challenges of parenting? So just really getting people together, and creating allies and people who perhaps don't even think the same way, but have the same challenges. Because I think we're all, as humans, are biased. We all have microaggressions
Of course.
because of how we grow up, where we grow up, what we believe in. And sometimes a lot of those are unconscious biases that we have to overcome. And I think also investing in education, because sometimes if you don't know that you're biased or you're unaware, I think that's it, right? Just breaking those barriers and again, just giving people an opportunity to be part of decisions and groups and giving them a seat at the table.
Very good. I would like to touch on motherhood, right? You're a mother of two boys.
Two boys, yes.
How has your approach to leadership within that context evolved over the years?
Sure, that's a great question. I think parenting or, just being a boy mom taught me a lot about grace.
Are they two boys?
Two boys,
Okay.
19 and 8. And I think parenting teaches you a ton of patience, teaches you a lot about grit, hustle, resilience. I think all of it. But it also teaches you maybe, humility or patience. And, being in HR space or people space, it's tough because you're interacting with so many people, so many dynamics, operations, business, people have needs and to be able to cater. But I think if you're a parent, you naturally have maybe a little bit more patience or a little bit more depth to be able to deal with situations. And a ton of humor. My boys are funny. And I think sometimes during the most tough, challenging situations, humor helped me a ton. Yeah.
It's very cool. Well, let's go into the rapid fire round of questions.
Let's do
You
it.
ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
What's your favorite pink box donut?
Ooh, it's called Filling Toasty. It's a simple glazed donut with toasted coconut. I think coconut is underrated, but love coconut.
I'm going to get that one. Jeez, man. I got to run to our pink box. Awesome. Leadership quote that you live by.
Okay, I think my favorite leadership quote is by Maya Angelou, and it's about people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel.
All right. A Las Vegas restaurant that always hits a spot for you.
I am biased, so I have to say a brunch spot, you got to go to Siegel's Bagel Mania and
Okay.
Piero's for an iconic dinner.
Okay, perfect. We'll do both. What's the last book you read or podcast you loved?
So I've been into Brene Brown for years. She's a researcher, storyteller, and she talks a ton about vulnerability. So I've been into her podcasts because it's a lot about being honest, being raw, and just really challenging and great minds to talk about vulnerability.
Do you bring this vulnerability teachings to your work too?
I think so. I think we touched on, mentorships or mentors. I think some of the great mentors are authentic and honest and don't have big egos. And I think that's really important for me. No matter how successful I get, I think I really always want to be me and authentic and really humble. So definitely, I think that's really, really important. And I think that's also the difference between HR versus people, right? I think great HR leaders are, again, they are authentic, they're open, and they're accessible, and they're present.
So authenticity is your core value, I can tell.
I love that.
All right. Favorite Armenian dish to make at home?
Sure, it's called dolma. I don't cook much these days, but it's easy because then my boys can help me roll it.
Okay, nice. What's a small leadership mistake you've learned the hard way?
I think I've always been a very determined and assertive person, but when I was young in my career, I thought I had to be a yes woman. And now I think I'm being paid for my opinion and for being assertive and for being bold. So I think just really taking up space is okay. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to share how you truly feel.
Wow. So, you blog. I don't know if you still do, because that's so back, but maybe. Play instruments, cycle, and travel. What does creative recovery look like for you?
I think creative recovery is having alone time. I've been lately obsessed with infrared saunas and doing cycle in hot infrared. So just going there, being by myself. I love doing late night walks as well. So just walking, being in nature, even though it's hot. But I think that's what it looks like, just some alone time.
Nice. All right. So let's go in and see about you outside HR, right? You've called yourself also a multilingual engagement catalyst. I love that. What does that phrase mean to you?
Sure. I think it's beyond speaking, 4 languages. It's speaking people.
What do you speak? What do you
I speak Russian, Armenian, English, a little bit of French and Spanish.
Okay.
But I think beyond speaking languages, it's speaking people. And I think working at all of these capacities in hospitality and operations, you become really sensitive towards culture and, cultural nuances, language barriers, people's needs. And I think, again, that's just beyond ability to speak languages. I think it's maybe also, emotional intelligence, being able to read the room and, just being intuitive maybe.
Just give me an idea. You should write the book Speaking People. Kind of like speaking yeah, because I never, but like speaking people, right? And in quotations, like the language.
Yeah.
That's freaking amazing. So when your boys grow up, what values do you hope they have learned from watching your career?
I think being courageous is important for me. It doesn't mean you're not scared, but it means you go for it anyway. I think just being bold, being kind is important. And also I think having a voice. I know I was very tough on my son when he was younger because he was very opinionated, and I always tried to tone him down. And now in hindsight, I'm like, good for you. And I've learned from him, I think, as much as hopefully he's going to learn from me one day.
Of course.
Yeah.
You've shaped the culture of Las Vegas' most iconic brands. What legacy do you hope to leave behind in the city?
I think it's important to help CEOs and businesses to create a workplace where people want to be a part of. They want to come to work. It's a cool place to work. It's a place where they feel like employer cares, I think is important. So, and I've had a pleasure, I think, again, to be part of some amazing brands that did that really, really well. And when I left, there were 20-30% of employees who were there for 13, 14, 15 years, which was, I think, an incredible, retention percentages. So I think, just helping businesses create a place where employees want to come to work.
Amazing. And then I've heard you want to go and teach hospitality at UNLV.
Yes.
So how do you see that chapter unfold?
Sure. So during COVID, I got really bored and I decided to go back to school to pursue my master's in organizational leadership. And the reason I did that is because I just needed to have a master's degree to teach. So I don't believe in, again, titles or degrees or diplomas. I think it's a calling almost. I love teaching, and I think students deserve to get real life experiences beyond the textbook knowledge. So that's a chapter I'm really looking forward to. Hopefully next year being able to teach part-time.
Next year? Awesome.
Yes, I'm graduating next year.
Oh, you're graduating so you can teach?
Yes, I can teach.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Very good. So finally, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received that you would like to pass on to others?
I think just being yourself and you. I think there's incredible power in who we are created to be or are meant to be. And sometimes, environments or people shape us or try to change us or just tone us down. But I think just really being comfortable in who you are, being loud, being vocal, and taking up space.
Thank you, Ani. I'm very proud to have you on this podcast, and this lady encompasses what being a Vegas voice is. I thank you.
Thanks for
being part
having
of
me.
this.
Thank you so much.